Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to News in Motion. It is the start of the week. It is Monday, May 8th, 2023. We want to say thank you for tuning in live here with us at 7:25 a.m., whether you're tuning in through YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Shout out to also the audio and podcast listeners for turning your dials to Hot 97 News in Motion. We have a special edition of News in Motion today. So instead of Miss Gail Dudley, we have Davante Goins from UnBossed filling in for her this morning. So we will be listening in for some special reports from Davante shortly. And also, we have Game Over with Kenny as he continues to talk about the NBA playoffs, y'all. It is heating up. I still feel like it's going to be the Warriors and the Lakers. You know, we may see that matchup again, or we may see the Lakers and the Heat. I don't know. It's getting interesting as I see y'all coming up in the room. Some of y'all are really filling in on YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, share this with a few friends, and y'all know what we do here. Let's go get this news in motion.
Hey, what's up, News and Motion family? Today is Monday, May 8th, 2023, and Miss Gail Dudley hit me up at about 5 this morning as she was boarding an airplane coming back from an assignment in, let's just say, Ron DeSantis town, I believe, and asked me, could I fill in? And I was like, yes. And so I'm happy to be here today as she is making a safe travel home. So I'm going to welcome everybody for tuning in live from all of our various platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, those of you who are still watching on Facebook, and into all of our audio platforms. And if you want to engage in the chat, a lot more people are watching over on YouTube. That is youtube.com/Gail Dudley. All right, coming up on the show today, before I welcome everybody, I want to tell you all what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the Treasury Secretary and how she is warning of an economic calamity here in the if the U.S. and Congress, both the House and the Senate, doesn't agree to raise federal borrowing limits. So we're going to be talking about that. Then, as you all know, we had our 199th mass shooting. There have been more mass shootings than there have been days thus far this year. So we're going to be talking about that. Also, President Biden is saying he would sign gun legislation immediately if it was sent to him and he could. And Byron Allen, he's dispelling rumors about the purchase of BET, and him and Tyler Perry kind of going at it and talking stuff. We're going to get into a little bit of that. And then the Supreme Court Chief of Justice must implement a strong code of ethics. That's what Senator Dick Durbin out of Illinois is saying today. And finally, we have an inspirational message that is going to cause you to think about how you are really, truly interacting with others. Let's just say your impact needs to always outweigh your legacy. How are you doing, Miss Deborah Johnson? How are you doing, Miss Kim Edmondson? And everybody else in the chat here. Let me see if I could pull up some of these comments here. Well, I see we have Miss Danita Hill here in the comments, Miss Siobhan tuning in. YouTube, yes, we are wishing her safe travels as well. Miss Tracy Burrs, Robert Holman, yes, we got our man Kenny Stanley coming up here in just a moment. Miss Marion Jackson, we got all of our regulars, and yes, I'm joining you on this side of things this morning. All right, so let's get right to it today, because I told Gail that I would get us all out of here on time. She was like, Davante, I know you got a 3-hour nightly show. News in Motion is about 30 to 45 minutes. I said, look, I got you, Gail. So let's bring Kenny on up because the playoffs, let's just say the playoffs were giving and they were on fire this weekend. So let's get to game time with Kenny Stanley.
Hey,
Hey, welcome to Game Over. So, I don't know if you're covering this, but I caught a little bit of that Boston game on Friday during Cinco de Mayo. That was very interesting. Boston was leading by like 20 points the entire game, and then we had the Lakers on Saturday. It seemed like I said, it was like very
hey,
giving, a lot
it's on
going
fire.
on.
Oh, it's on fire. The NBA like you said, is giving right now. Yeah, the late hey, these games are on fire. I'm enjoying every last bit of it. I'm just not staying up late no more. I, I gotta go to bed. I'm
All right,
always stay up late.
all right, you take it away, Kenny.
All right. News in Motion family, what's happening? I was back to see y'all again. Hey, Saturday, I told you it was gonna be hot, and boy, was it hot Saturday. It was hot yesterday, as Davante said. The NBA is giving right now, and it's giving everything we want. These games are on fire, and yesterday it didn't let us down. My 76ers, boy, like my uncle said, they survived on a prayer yesterday because they had a big lead, and all of a sudden Boston lost their mind in the fourth quarter and came back and tied this game up. We go into overtime. But my 76ers escaped with a 116-115 win. The game should have never went to overtime. Philly should have wrapped it up, but they went to sleep in the fourth quarter. And Marcus Smart could have ended it in regulation, but his shot came up short. So we go to overtime. Marcus Smart had a chance to redeem himself. He made the shot, but replay showed that he still had the ball in his hand when the buzzer went off. So that's what happened. James Harden led the 76ers with 42 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists. And Joel Embiid chipped in 34 points and 13 rebounds. In the nightcap, boy, that was a good game last night. That was a good game. The Suns, they tied up the series at 2 games apiece with a 129 to 124 win over the Nuggets. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant both dropped 36 points last night, and they needed every last bit of those 36 points apiece because Nikola Jokic, we call him the Joker. He dropped 53 points last night and grabbed 13 rebounds. Dished out 11 assists last night, and man, he was on fire. But I knew the game had turned on his head in the second quarter. I knew home cooking was in because Joker got a technical foul because he kind of pushed the owner down trying to get the ball out of bounds. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they called a tech on that. Well, that's what happened. And I knew the game was going to turn on in right there. Tonight's game, they should be on fire too, and I can't wait to see. This first game I'm going to be up for. I'm going to be up and watch this first game. We got the New York Knicks. They in the ATL. They in Miami, down on South Beach, taking on the Miami Heat. They're going to try to tie this series up at 2 games apiece. I don't know. Jimmy Buckets is playing his heart out. Hey, that's just what he does. That's just what he does. And then in the nightcap, I might catch the first quarter. Like I said, I'm getting too old to be staying up. Sleep calls my name somewhere around 10:30. I can't stay up late no more. But the Warriors are going to try to tie that series up at 2 games apiece as they take on the Los Angeles Lakers. We're going to see. My prediction is whoever wins this series, that's going to be the champs. Will the Warriors defend themselves? We have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. In some sad news in the NBA, Nick Gilbert, son of Cleveland Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert, lost his battle with neurofibromatosis, or other words, NF1, which causes tumors to grow on the brain, spinal cord, and the skin. There's no cure for it. He lost his battle yesterday. He died yesterday morning, I do believe. So keep that family lifted in prayer. Keep the Gilbert family lifted in prayer. But that's sports. We're going to get back to Davante for some more news. I'm going to check y'all out on Thursday. I love y'all. Peace out.
Hey, yes, let's keep the Cavaliers family and the whole enterprise in as a whole.
Yeah.
But you kind of teetered into giving us your prediction on who was going to win everything, but you didn't tell us your thoughts. So, Kenny, come on, you are expert over here. You gotta give us a little something. It sounded like you wanted to go with the Warriors a little bit.
This Lakers and Warriors thing. If Anthony Davis plays like Anthony Davis is supposed to play, nobody in the NBA gonna touch the Lakers. I promise you that. But Anthony Davis got to play like he's supposed to play. If Anthony Davis does what he's been doing all playoff, play one game, off next game, play one game, Lakers not gonna do anything. You need Anthony Davis to be Anthony Davis. You need Anthony Davis to be the New Orleans Anthony Davis when he was with the Pelicans. That's the Anthony Davis you need every night. If you got that Anthony Davis, nobody's touching the Lakers. That's a problem.
All right.
And I'm a
Sixers think Tim
fan.
Emerson is with you.
I'm a Sixers fan, and nobody's touching the Lakers.
Ooh, all right. That's a big jump over. But I mean, a lot of people jump over during the playoffs. So the playoffs are going to continue to be the gift that keeps on giving. All right. We'll check back in with you later this week, Kenny.
Right.
Hopefully, you're going to stay up and watch the entire game. But you get your rest and get out of here. And let's get to these headlines.
All right.
Thank you, brother. All right. According to the Associated Press, everybody, the United States Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is warning of an economic calamity if the U.S. fails to raise the borrowing limit. So let's break this all down right here this morning. So what is she exactly warning about? Let's get into that. So what she's emphasizing right now is that there is an urgent need for Congress to raise the nation's borrowing limit to a little over $31 trillion. That's trillion with a T. You guys know how many zeros that is? Yes, that. It's that many zeros, like well over 10, I believe. It's a little early for me to be doing math, but it's a whole bunch of zeros that I just wish we all could have a percent of a percent of a percent going in some of our pockets and here at News in Motion. As Ms. Gail would say, hello, somebody. But in other news, she said we need $31 trillion to avoid an economic calamity. But she's also not ruling out, because I know a lot of you have also been hearing conversations about the 14th Amendment and how President Biden could take some federal action according to the Constitution to get around that. So she's not ruling out that the president could do that. They are expected, the President Biden is expected on tomorrow to meet with the congressional leaders, not the Gang of Eight, but the Gang of Four. So this is a very, very high stakes going on, because if the debt limit is not reached, let's just say there's not going to be a recession. It's going to be more like a depression, which we cannot have. So let's talk about where each party is on what side. So right now, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and the GOP lawmakers are insisting on spending cuts as a condition for raising the borrowing limit, while President Biden and the Democrats are asserting that the threat of default should not be used as leverage when it comes to budget talks. So they're saying, hey, look, we can't be cutting spending limit right now, cutting things right now while we are in the midst of trying to figure out if we're going to default on our debt and our loan. So and there really are some dire consequences, everybody, because she later pointed out, as the AP as a report pointed out, that with this, and she says, quote, if extraordinary measures, unquote, when your financial experts, ladies and gentlemen, News in Motion family, are telling you, if extraordinary efforts and measures aren't taken almost expeditiously, we are going to see something that we haven't seen in ever here in America. So what she's highlighting is that if measures aren't taken very quickly, we are going to not only default on our interest payments, Social Security is at risk, Medicare is at risk, and a whole bunch of other chaos is at risk. So let's talk about the main takeaways of this story. It's that Democrats and Republicans need to find a way to come together and to come up with an agreement on how to raise the debt ceiling so we don't go into economic default and an economic collapse. It's just simple as that. So let's get to our next story here. Politico is now reporting that President Biden is saying he would sign gun legislation immediately if he could. So on yesterday, he called on Congress yet once again to pass the new gun control law and said he would sign, and I quote, immediately he would sign it in the wake of the shooting in Allen, Texas, that have left over 8 people dead, 7 injured. President Biden said in a tweet yesterday, and I quote, too many families have empty chairs at their dinner tables. Republican members of Congress cannot continue to meet this epidemic with a shrug. Tweeted thoughts and prayers are not enough. He went on to say in that statement and in that tweet, and I quote, once again, I ask Congress to send me a bill banning assault weapons and high capacity magazines, enacting universal background checks, requiring safe storage, and ending immunity for gun manufacturers. We need nothing less than to keep our streets safe. Well, in March, everybody, the president attempted to try, as we know from tuning in here on News in Motion, President Biden, he tried to attempt to bypass Congress to tighten all of these gun control measures. And when he signed an executive order expanding background checks during a visit to Monterey Park in California, where 11 people were gunned down in January. And so there have been numerous measures in Congress that have been stalled out when it comes to gun control. And all I'm saying right now to all of our congressional officials out there, I don't care if you have a D or an R in your name, our people, children are dying. Children. We're tired of hearing about babies dying. Here, where I'm standing right now in Columbus, Ohio, we had 2 mass shootings over the weekend. 2 here in Columbus. It's sad. So I'm just saying, hey, you got to get together, figure out how you can work together to get some type of gun reform passed. It's not that people are trying to, that the Democrats are trying to take away your Second Amendment rights, because that's not what they're trying to do. But you don't need a magazine that holds 30 bullets. You simply don't. Because when are you ever going to use a high capacity rifle like that? When is there ever going to be a need for that? I'm just saying. All right, let's get to our next story here, which has a lot to do with President Biden and him saying he could sign his statement if he wanted to. Kim Edmondson has said, party shouldn't matter, do the right thing. You are exactly right, Kim. So we were just talking about, and I had just alluded to that Texas mall shooting. Well, it was the 199th mass shooting this year in 2023. And that shooting on Saturday at an outdoor mall in Allen, Texas, it left 8 victims dead, 7 more injured, and many more people traumatized about what happened. Let's get into the details of it. So it's the second mass shooting that has happened in Texas in just 2 weeks. A little over a week ago on April 28th, another Texas gunman, if you all remember, shot and killed 5 people in his home next to him after his neighbors asked him to stop firing his rifle because they had their baby sleeping. So he shot and killed 5 people. So there have been numerous of mass shootings, and they have cost the lives of some 273 people this far alone in 2023, with another 781 that have been injured. So on January 21st, a gunman entered Monterey Park, California, and killed 11 people at a Lunar New Year event. And he done that with a cabaret pistol, and he later died when authorities closed in on the white cargo van that was identified as the vehicle of interest. So continue to talk about all of these on April 10th. Yet another one when a 25-year-old shooter killed five of his colleagues and injured another eight at the Old National Bank building where he used to work. The shooter used an AR-15 style rifle to fire at his colleagues in a conference room after a meeting, and police killed the suspect after the shooting. I just want to hit on two more points here because I think you all are starting to get the picture of why gun reform is needed. But I needed to paint this picture to all of our viewers and our listeners today to let you all know that this is really, really, really traumatizing to continue to talk about day in and day out, and even more traumatizing for the families that have to encounter it and now have to deal with what their new normal is because they had to go through a situation like that. Studies are showing right now that the shootings are impacting the mental health of young Americans who reportedly feel greater anxiety and stress. It's also changing the way people live, with a third of adults saying that they stray away from certain events and places as a result of this fear. And this fear is a real fear indeed. Check this out, everybody. In the last 3 years, since 2020, there have been at least 600 mass shootings every year in America. 600. All right, let's get to the news. Black news. They're always trying to pin folks together, black folks against each other. But Byron Allen, he's come out now, according to the Atlanta Black Star, trying to dispel rumors that there's a feud going on between him and Tyler Perry, and they're vying for a majority stake of BET. So let's talk about this. BET right now is up for acquisition interest, and not only have Byron Allen and Tyler Perry put a bid in on it, but P. Diddy, or Sean Diddy Combs, as he's known as by his government name, have all expressed interest and put in bids in acquiring a majority stake of BET. It is worth noting that Tyler Perry does own a minority stake of BET are currently already, because he did a content distribution deal with them 2 years ago with Viacom CBS. For all of this content to go onto the BET Plus platform. All right, so let's talk about exactly what is up for sale. So what is up for sale and what Paramount is intending on doing is selling a majority stake and maintaining a minority stake in the company to fund the expense in BET. And the reason why they're doing this is they're trying to fund the expansion of Paramount Plus as a whole. And so some people would see that as them trying to give BET back to our community, the Black community. Let's talk about this outlook that Allen has come out with, saying, quote, may the best man win. He adapted this collaborative approach, stating that if Tyler Perry wins, the bid is great, and if he wins, it's great too. He emphasized unity instead of competition between potential buyers. This is what it's all about, everybody. News and Motion family, is whether one billionaire gets it or another billionaire gets it. It's coming back home to our community being Black owned for us and by us. I understand why former owner and founder of BET, Bob Johnson, sold BET back in the day, because when he sold it, he created more Black millionaires than anybody ever has at one time through the sale of BET to Viacom CBS at the time. So I understand why he done it, but now it's good that we could bring BET back home, or that we have the opportunity to do it. Let's just say that. So Byron Allen, if you don't know who he is, he has a big media empire as well. Byron Allen is the CEO and chairman of the Allen Media Group and Entertainment Studios, and he's known for doing some successful real estate investments, and also known for back in the day being one of the kings of comedy. That's how he got his start. We all know who Tyler Perry is. So Tyler Perry has assumed a big fortune through all of his plays. We've all gone to see him, know him, love him. From Medea Goes to Jail to Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I can go on and on. Medea's Big Happy Family, talking about all of his plays and why we like each one of them. And the recently new creation of Tyler Perry Studios. Check this out. Tyler Perry has a personal net worth of over $1 billion, and through his partnership with B Plus that I was just telling you about, what he's aiming to do through taking a majority ownership stake is to bring back better content to BET. So we're going to keep our eye on that and see how this develops, whether it goes to Diddy, whether it goes to Tyler because he has some ownership in it already, or whether it goes to the media mogul who's buying up everything. Byron Allen, if you all didn't know, owns the Weather Channel as well, and a bunch of other local media properties all around the country, and he's buying up a ton. Let's get to some of these comments. Latrice Jones is saying she just hopes that whomever gets it uses it to promote positive images of Black people. I'm right there with you, Latrice. Kim Emerson is saying hashtag Black Worth. Yes, hashtag Black Worth. Let's get to the inspirational message of the day. Can't wait till we all can get along and partner up, Miss Shirley is saying. So, over the past couple weeks, I've gone to more funerals than I care to count. Sadly, too sadly, it kind of reminded me of 2020 and not going to funerals in person, but going to virtual funerals. And at one point in 2020, I was going to a virtual funeral. It felt like almost every day in some sense. And so my mind over this past week had went to work, and I began to think about why people gather at homegoing celebrations and why we grieve in the way we do for one person or another. And what God reminded me of, everybody, is that your impact needs to outweigh your legacy. When we go to a homegoing celebration, the reason it's called a homegoing celebration and not a funeral is because we're there to celebrate the impact that that person and that individual has had on our lives. Let me break it down to you and tell this a really quick story. I'm going to tell it in the Davante hip hop way right now, and not the way it's told in the biblical sense, because we all know love the story. But let me tell it in this new way. So Lazarus, we all know the story of Lazarus. So Mary hits Jesus up one day saying, Jesus, we need you to get here. Our brother Lazarus is sick and dying. And so Jesus is like, all right, me and my homeboys, my 12 disciples that rode with me everywhere, are on our way. We're on our way. As we know, Jesus gets there a few days later because he had to walk through the 100-acre woods and things like that. When he arrives on the scene, everybody, Mary and everybody, they're like, Jesus, you're late. He's passed on and went on. And Jesus looked at them as to say, you can't offer, and he didn't do this, everybody. He looked at them to say, you can't offer me no Kool-Aid, no nothing, no water. I just walked all these miles over here. It took me 3 days because I didn't have a Learjet. My camel wasn't giving. It wasn't going fast enough. And I can't have no water first. He's like, the reason why you called me, and I simply could have sent one of my disciples, but the reason why you called me is because of my impact. because his disciples clearly could have raised up Lazarus, but they called Jesus because they knew the impact that he has once he walks onto the scene. Let me put it to you in another way, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. So let's talk. Let's look at it this way. The reason why we still talk about Dr. King the way we do, the reason why we talked and still are, and it's very fresh in our hearts, our now ancestor, once icon Harry Belafonte and people like that, is because of the impacts that they've had on our society and our lives. We aren't talking and remembering their legacy. We're talking and remembering their impacts that they've had on our lives and on us as individuals. And that's what I want all of you to remember and to take away from this as you go forth into your days, that your impact must outweigh your legacy. Your impact must outweigh your legacy. And that's going to do it for us, because I'm trying to keep the show on time today. So I want to say safe travels back to Miss Gail Dudley, and to her, the team, Isaiah and Kenny and everybody. Thank you for assisting and helping me do everything that you guys do in order to make the show successful. I will see you next time. And as I say, when I end my show, I know Gail has her sign off, but I have my own special sign off. And as I always like to say, Black America, remember to keep it real, because your conscience depends on it. Peace. I'm out. Love y'all.
Emotion.